Next on Watch the Damn Tape, we'll get into that Duke South Carolina game and that UCLA LSU battle. Next. What do you do, peeps? I'm the Beat Chef. Welcome to Watch the Damn Tape. Hit that like, that share, that subscribe button. Hit that bell to get notified when I drop my next video. New subscribers, I thank you for joining us. Old subscribers, thank you for helping me build this platform and keep pushing out this content. This tournament has been great. Let's get into that first game, South Carolina and Duke. This had good basketball and bad basketball all combined in one. South Carolina ekes out the win, 54-50. Game started out slow, real slow. The first quarter, 16 to 10. Second quarter, South Carolina gets out to a 25-12 lead, and they stayed at 25. They scored 25 points around the 6-minute mark. They didn't score another point until about 18.9 seconds left in the second quarter. And in that same time frame, the Blue Devils went on an 8-1 run and got it going into the halftime, 26-22. I've never seen this tournament. Has shown me one thing. I've watched almost every game except for a couple of the first round teams that weren't going to make it far. Every game I've watched, there's always a couple travel calls that you just say you were thinking way too much. And in this game, Malaysia Fulwali in the first quarter had two terrible travels, back to back. Some of the Blue Devils, Reagan Richardson, she had an awful traveling call. Bad basketball. I thought initially it was going to be a blowout the way South Carolina had that lead. But that 5-minute plus stretch made the game competitive. And then the third quarter, coming into the third quarter, South Carolina was still out of sync. It was like somebody flipped a switch on South Carolina and everybody forgot to move the basketball. They were indecisive when they would run plays. Nobody knew who was going to be the primary scorer at a lot of times. It was very weird. But Duke came out that third quarter and started really applying pressure to South Carolina. And for the crowd was completely quiet. I mean, hush. And it was a larger majority of Gamecock fans than it was Blue Devil fans. That fourth quarter, South Carolina slowed down the game, went back with their original starters. And it was weird because at the end of the game, you didn't see Fulwali on the court. You saw the same starters on the court. And for some reason, Duke got hit with the bug that South Carolina got hit with in the second quarter. And it was weird because Duke couldn't buy a basket, several turnovers, bad plays, just bad plays. And the championship pedigree that's inside of South Carolina showed at the end. They made a couple plays and they held on to get the win. Good win for them. It was a good win. This game was, I mean, they said it's defense. No, it was a bad play. I mean, Duke shot 31%, shot 29 from 3. South Carolina shot 43% from the field, 37% from 3, and they're terrible at free throws. Oh Lord, they're terrible at free throws. Terrible. Chloe Kitts had 14. Sanaya Fagan played very well, very well, and she matched up with Toby Fournier, and she gave Fournier fits. They battled each other. She scored 12. Uh, no other starter for South Carolina in double figures. I mean, Tiana Pow 9 points, Raven Johnson 7. Malaysia 2 of 6, only played 11 minutes of 5 points. Had they lost this game, everybody would have looked at Malaysia like, what happened? You were Jordan-esque last game, and now you're in the Elite Eight, and you're laying an egg. Uh, Toby Fournier led the way for Duke with 18. Uh, Ashlyn Jackson had 13. No other player on Duke's team with in double figures. They shot a ton of threes. Ashlyn Jackson was 2 of 8. Reagan Richardson was 1 of 4. It was a lot of clanking. Lot of clanking. Lot of clanking. Live by the 3, die by the 3. And when they're not hitting, though it was some possessions that this game could have went either way. There was a few possessions that Duke had that I know Kara Lawson wishes she could have back. But that's how it goes, especially when you got a young and up and coming team. Shout out to Duke. They'll be back next year. They'll be back. They're going to reload. Lawson's an excellent coach. Young, excellent coach. Dawn Staley gets the win. Moves on to the Final Four. Looking forward to previewing that matchup. Next, UCLA and LSU. This one was basically whose guards are going to play better. And UCLA's guards accepted the challenge and played way better. UCLA gets the win 72-65. They were about as much as 14 at one point in the game, and LSU went on a nice run, late third going into the fourth to cut the lead. They got within 3, but every time that they got close, UCLA would make a clutch shot. But it was a battle early, low scoring first quarter. LSU was up 13-9. UCLA started feeding Lauren Betts, and she started kicking it out to those shooters. They scored 22 in the second. LSU only scored 12 in the second quarter. Anissa Morrow got hammered. Lauren Betts shoved Samaya Smith. Samaya Smith leans back in the late in the third, early fourth quarter, I believe, and popped Anissa Morrow right in the nose. I mean, she fell both of them fell. They were down. Michaela Williams went down and scored. They called a timeout. She was on the floor for a while. They were putting a towel on her nose. She was bleeding. They took her to the locker room. She came back several minutes later. They said she had broke her nose, which I'm not surprised because she got hammered. She played big minutes, 38 minutes. Samaya played 30. Flau'jae Johnson, one of my favorite players to watch. 10 of 17, had 28, 3 of 6 from three-point line. They shot a lot of threes and they didn't shoot them well. 33%, shot 15, only made 5. Shot 37% from the field. Kaylin Gilbert, at certain times in this game, she didn't need to shoot. And clearly she only had 1 point. She was 0 of 7 from the field. She would take some of the worst shots I've ever seen, and it was clank, clank. It was a lot of houses getting built. She was clanking a lot, clank. I mean clanking. Michaela, 32 minutes, didn't shoot real well. 4 of 13, had 10 points. When she's on, she's on. She was not on today. She was not on today. Samaya Smith, I give her a lot of credit. She didn't score like she did last game, but she, for as light as she is, she played her butt off against Lauren Betts. Lauren Betts was in foul trouble. Only played 25 minutes, had 17 points. Monster on the blocks. They were driving the lane early, and she was absorbing basketballs at a high rate. Even in the first 2 or 3 minutes of the game, she was already up in blocks. I thought she was going to probably have a triple double with the blocks. But yeah, she got in foul trouble. Like I said, Samaya Smith, they battled. It was real physical. I'm glad the refs let them play a little bit. But the guards for UCLA, they came to play. Gabriella Jasquez, 4 or 5 from 3, had 18 points. Tamaya Gardner, 15 points, 5-11, 5-8 from 3. That's what set them apart from LSU. And that 14-point lead that they gathered in the second half was enough to hold them off so they could get the win. They would collapse. LSU would collapse and sell out on Lauren Betts. And they kicked it out. She kicked it out to those shooters. And they made plays. They made plays. Their guards came up bigger than LSU's guards. Even though Flage hit some shots late. She hit some big threes that if it was at the end of the third, we might be talking about a different game. But it was late in the fourth. Like I said, within them last 3 minutes, they got it close. And then UCLA extended the lead. There was a lot of bad plays. Bad fouls. Bad fouls by players that they were already in the penalty. And they were just, Gilbert especially, just making silly fouls. And then just sending Kiki Rice and other players to the line, and they're real good at Vasquez is real good at shooting free throws, shooting over 80%. They're making the free throws, and the game's pretty much over. It's a done deal. But congratulations to UCLA. This was a good game. I enjoyed this game a lot better than the South Carolina game. South Carolina's gonna have to get it together. I know it gets the pressure. And the level of competition gets greater as the further you go, but if they want to repeat, I had them going to the finals going up against UConn on my bracket, but they aren't playing top tier basketball. Not sure what was going on with Malaysia today. It's like a big drop off from the other day. I mean, huge drop off. If she didn't have the game she had the other night, they lose. They almost like lost in spite of her tonight. So UCLA moves on. UCLA's playing well. UCLA's playing well. I had them going to the. I believe I had them going to the Final Four. I had to go check my bracket, but they're playing very well. Playing real good team basketball. So I wouldn't be surprised if they shock somebody next round, but I'm looking forward to that USC Connecticut game. That's going to be the game. Can they win without Juju a second time? That's the biggest question, because the way Paige Beckers and company is playing, it's going to be a tough out. It's going to be a tough out, but looking forward to those games on Monday. Let me know what you thought about today's games. Leave your comments below. Until next time, folks. Peace.